Hi, I'm Graham Milligan. I'm the lead brand designer here at Flamingo, and I'd like to welcome you to my apartment website teardown show. If you don't know what an apartment website teardown is, it's basically where I look at different websites in the industry and see what's working or what I think is working, what I don't think is working, and some areas for improvement. So today we'll be looking at Bells Bluff, with a focus mainly on the sort of content and navigation side of the website. So let's jump right in and see what they've got. So when I arrive on the Bells Bluff website, we've got this pop-up. Now there's an offer here and a time frame which creates some urgency. There's a couple of things I want to touch on here that I think could be better. One of which is the design and the other is the CTA. So basically, for me, the design, it could be it could have a lot more pop. It's just a little bit plain for me. And on the second side is the CTA. So the CTA is down here, and it's really small. Basically all they've included here is a phone number. Now this doesn't prompt the prospect into a next step or into a funnel. Basically, if they don't decide to call that number, they're just going to close this, and the pop-up's not done anything. So we could take a look at some examples. So if I just type in here real estate pop-up, and let's take a look at some pop-ups that come up. So for example, if you look at this one, you can see here there's the background for one isn't plain. It's a nice photo, it's a low opacity, the text is over the top, it's nice contrast, and then there's a really clear next step. So enter your email to send me updates. So really that's sort of CTA you want to look for doing. There's other styles as well, so you can ask them to enter their first name, last name, phone number, city, and email address. You could obviously change that to their phone number if you'd like, and you can add a little bit more detail. So you can see here there's a lot more room for expansion on these sorts of pop-ups. So if we go back to Bells Bluff, you'll see the difference. Yeah. So you can see here it's really quite plain, and there's not that sort of pop. There's not that next step that's really required in these sort of pop-ups. So after closing the pop-up, I get the immediate sense of nature, with a couple of other things. Obviously the adventure, peace, harmony, country living, fresh air. And they achieve this by not just showing the apartments, but instead showing the lifestyle and what the surroundings actually have to offer. They've got a really clear target sort of demographic here, and that's the nature or adventure lovers. And this is reflected throughout all the elements, from the logo, the imagery, the sort of earthy color palette going on, and even the messaging. So the logo fits in really well with the sort of pastel tones, the dark blue, the light blue, and this golden brown, with the canoe and the river here reflecting the imagery that we see down at the bottom. So it really maintains this sort of nice, sort of rustic feel, or rustic feel. So yeah, I really like this. Really well done. So the next thing I want to talk about is the check availability section, which is right below the hero. So here you'll see immediate move-in available, and then again it asks me for the move-in date. That could be a little bit confusing. I'm not sure why they included this, but let's go ahead and hit move-in date. We'll select 2 bedrooms, and pets, we'll go yes. Having pets here is quite nice because it reinforces the fact that it's a pet-friendly community. So I quite like that. So let's go ahead and hit check availability. But before we do that, I just want to note what I'd expect when I click check availability, and that would be a list of apartments or units that are available, and the dates that I've selected here. So what happens when we check availability is it asks me for full name, phone, and email. Now that for me is a little bit confusing. It should show the availability, or in this case I'd recommend changing this to just go into enter their details for availability. For me, it's a little bit confusing, and this could frustrate some people. So again, I'd consider changing that. So just put the form right there. So fill in the form for availability, and you could include all these things on that same form. So the next thing I want to talk about here is the messaging, and I think they've done a really good job at tackling different points. So let's start with the hero section, then we'll move down through the home page. So the first one here is adventure waits right outside Nashville's backyard. Now that shows the lifestyle and the activities that you could be doing if you lived in this community. Also shows the surroundings and sort of appeals to the target demographic of adventure or nature lovers. So really nicely done here. The next one, peace of mind. Again, this is really nice. It tackles another point. It shows sort of spacious living. It's really peaceful, clean. It's really airy. So again, it's another point that's being covered here. Just modern living, spacious, clean, and nice and airy. The next one is the apartments themselves, and it tackles the sort of money side. So it's live large for less. Again, really nice. Shows off the building nicely. Shows off the amenities, and again tackles that money. So you're saying it's you're getting a lot for what you pay for here. Immediate move-in available. This is good as well. So it kind of it shows people that there's space available if they're ready to move, or if they're interested. They've got that choice of just jumping ship and getting right out there, starting to enjoy the lifestyle there. One thing I would note on this is the immediate move-in available. I'd expect to see some sort of imagery that reflects that. Not that the imagery is bad here, but it doesn't reflect the message. And then the last one here is the only slide actually that's a little bit confusing for me. The other ones have value, and they cover a specific point. So one was about the adventure, the lifestyle of living there. Another was about pricing. Another one was about availability. Now this one is more of a statement. Obviously a river runs through it. Now for me it doesn't say much. That could be a little bit worded a little bit better, just so it adds value to the prospect, or says something a little bit more interesting. So as we move down the page, there's a couple of points that are covered here. The first is get more for less. So this addresses pricing. A couple other things in the imagery here to note is the pet again reinforcing the fact that it's a pet-friendly community. Larger living spaces, so you get more for what you're paying for. It also shows nice modern apartments here. The next section is amenities, and this is sort of a must for any building. What I would tend to include here would be a link to the amenities page, which you see up here. So there's a few amenities listed, but there's no sort of more information or next step on that. And if you've got an amenities page, I'd consider just linking to that for a couple of reasons. For one, to keep people involved and to keep people navigating throughout your website, which in turn helps in Google. The next section here is the experience. Now this one I think has a lot of potential, but hasn't been used here. I mean, this image doesn't really reflect the experience, and there's no more information given on here. So I would again sort of consider expanding on this and maybe changing the images here, and again linking it into the experience page, which is up here on the left. The next section is location. So this for me is obviously really important. People want to know where it is and what's round about. So there's a couple of things that I'd like to point. One is this addition. So it's outside your door, 5 minutes to the Green Door Gourmet, 3 minutes to Nashville West Shopping Centre. For me, that's a great addition. I'd consider adding more of those on there, just so people get an idea of how close it is, or maybe how long their commute's going to be if they're going to work. Just so they get a better idea of the surrounding, where exactly it's located, and what access they have. But I really like this idea of adding sort of 5 minutes to 3 minutes to section on here. And then at the bottom here we've got the CTA, or the lead form, which is a great position. As soon as they get to the bottom, you want to try and grab their details right here. So the next thing I want to talk about here is the navigation. Now there's a couple of things to note in the navigation header section. The first, when you arrive on the website, it's really hard to make out what the first items on the menu are, and that's because there's no background or sort of contrast there. So you can see the difference as I scroll down. It jumps to a sticky header, and it's really clear. Now I'd consider keeping that format, or at least the text over a sort of blue background or an opacity background there, just to make it really clear and easy to read. But anyway, let's jump forward and start looking through the internal pages. So the first is experience. Now for me, this page has a lot of potential, but what they've done here is more sort of repetition of what's on the home page. They've expanded a little bit on the color, on the content here, but really not too much, or it's kind of repetition of what's been said on the home page. What I do like is this this zigzag sort of layout, and the imagery that they've used. The imagery really gives you the impression of a nice sort of clean area, adventurous lifestyle in the countryside, obviously. So the next is community. Now community, this has a lot of potential, but again is just missing content. This is the only content that I see here. So there's really not much to say about this. It's missing content. There's a lot of opportunity here, so I'd consider either expanding on this or just removing it entirely. On community, I mean, you really should be talking about what's in the community, or how Bells Bluff encourages community to meet your neighbors, what they're doing because of that, like things like resident events. So there's a lot of potential in that section, which has been kind of missed here. Next is floor plans. Now, when we scroll down on floor plans, again, this is a little bit confusing for me because the first thing I see isn't floor plans. It's a description and then an image, and then amenities. So you really need to scroll all the way down here to see the floor plans. For me, this is a little bit confusing as to what I've landed on. So I'd consider removing this section, removing this section, and removing this section entirely, so that you just get directly into the floor plans, what people are looking for when they click here. So it's kind of counterintuitive to have this up here. The next section is amenities. Now the amenities, I think, is pretty well done. Again, it's a zigzag sort of layout, which I really like. Again, using the blues from the logo. The imagery is really nice. It goes along with the lifestyle. And again, it touches on all the amenities with people. It gives a nice human touch throughout the imagery. The next section here is Residents Corner. This one, again, it has a lot of potential here. to give information to residents. So if I'm clicking on Residents Corner, I would expect to see communication or different things that help the residents understand or communicate or do something a lot better. It's sort of it's a little bit counterintuitive here. So again, first thing I see is this, which doesn't reflect Residents Corner, and then the FAQs. Now, even in the FAQs, some of them have answers, and then some of them don't. So, like if I'm clicking on here, there's no answer. So again, these really need filled out properly to make the most of that. Again, I'd consider making the most of this page and delivering more content on the area. It could be, I mean, this could be a blog, it could be a portal, it could be a sort of communication center for the residents. It could talk about the app or events. There's lots of different things that this could take into consideration to improve the sort of user experience and the content that's being delivered there. So the next one is contact. This is pretty self-explanatory. I think this is good if people want to get in contact, they can do right here. It gives the office hours and the form here with the contact details at the bottom. The last one here is Residents Portal. Now this, for me, I would consider changing. First off, that should be open a new tab. And the reason for that is once they go off, they have to click back here. So if someone clicks on this not knowing what it is, basically they're going to have to click back. Otherwise, they're just going to close it down and then they've left the website entirely. So again, it's not good for user experience or navigation. The other thing to note here in the Residents Portal is it's an off-brand experience. So when I arrive here, I see Bells Bluff written, but I don't see any branding on this page, which I think could be improved upon. Even just to have the logo, the colors in the background, anything to keep it sort of on that same consistency with the brand experience. The next thing's up here, right on the top bar, pay rent. This is helpful. Again, this could be in the Residents Corner, and apply now. That could be under contact. Phone number again could be under contact. So really give some context to these three things up here. Right now, for me, they're sort of standalone. They don't really make sense where they are. So again, I just consider putting them like a pay rent under Residents Corner, or maybe on a drop down section. Apply now could be on contact. Again, phone number. This could be a bigger CTA, maybe with a phone icon on here. So let's look at some areas for improvement and opportunities. So the first would be create a funnel, and that's basically to guide the prospect starting with either a popular topic, be a pain point, or a useful piece of information, which then prompts them to move to a specific page to enter their details. So basically, what I mean by this is when you're scrolling down, you'll, like as we mentioned before, each of these sections covers a different topic. So on amenities, for example, what I would do would be to add navigation here, which would be to push people through to a next step to find out more information on the amenities, and eventually into sort of filling out the form. So you're pushing them from the home page through to the amenities page, and then onto the form. So you're helping them find the information they need, and this will help increase your conversions. So that would be number one. Number two would be to expand on content. So that's going back through these pages here. So if we take a look at community, you'll see like we mentioned, there's not really much content here. So adding content really helps with SEO. It really helps engage the prospect and convert them into a lead. For me, I would expect to see a sort of bounce off this page on if you're looking at like Google Analytics. Adding useful content also helps Google and your prospect understand more about your community, about what you guys are doing, and really helps convert them. So that would be the next section. So if we go back to the home page, the next thing would be better use of H tags. Now, H tags are basically titles. So these things that you see here, these could be H tags right on the home page. Now, one thing to note here is the H tags on the hero aren't actually H tags. They're incorporated into the image. So what that means is Google's not going to be able to read them, and they're essentially not helping with SEO at all. Now, what I also noticed moving down is the H tags don't include things like Bells Bluff amenities, Bells Bluff rentals, rental Nashville, apartments. Now, what these are keywords that help Google understand what your website's about and what you're trying to do. So in all these titles, as we move down, like get more for less, that's another one. You'll notice that none of them really have any sort of keywords that help Google understand or the prospect understand what you're about. So that would be definitely a one to consider adding here. The next point would be add internal linking. So this is another thing that I mentioned before, and as you scroll down, you'll notice there's no CTAs in any of these sections, which sort of lead on to the pages, the internal pages. A big example was one that I've talked about a couple of times, which is on amenities, which really should lead into the amenities section up here. The experience should lead into the experience section up here, but again, there's no CTAs. And now what internal linking does, it shows Google that you're experts on that subject, you're leading the prospect and you're guiding them through to more content, and this in turn helps your bounce rate. It keeps it low, and it tells Google what you're really about. So the next section, or the next thing I want to cover, is social proof. So Bells Bluff are doing really well on Google. You can actually see that up here right on the map. This is the only part on the page where it mentions any sort of social proof. Now, for me, I'd consider adding some of these reviews throughout the homepage, or it could be an experience, just to really show what the lifestyle is like, and really show off those 159 reviews and the 4.5 star rating. It's definitely something that I'd consider adding onto the homepage to help prospects understand and get an insight as to what it's like living there. The last one is social media. Now, I noticed Bells Bluff do have social media channels. They have Facebook. I can't share it on this video, but they have Facebook channels, and none of those are listed in the footer or the header of the website, nor throughout the homepage, or if we look at contact, they're not listed here either. Now, social media is really important as it kind of shows the prospects how active you are as a community, and it allows people to see if there's other residents that might be posting about concerns, or maybe even how happy they are living there. It also gives a chance for Bells Bluff to, for example, show resident events that they might have done, and it kind of shows the community that are building. That again could be shown in the community section up here. So in conclusion, I think Bells Bluff are doing really well at targeting their demographic. Their messaging is all really on point. The website, it's designed nicely. There's some real opportunity in content generation though, to engage potential prospects, and not only that, but to tell Google what the community is about, and that's going to help with the SEO and rankings. So aside from that, I'd also look at on-site SEO, like H tags, those titles that we talked about, and how to include sort of keywords in those H tags and throughout the content, which in turn is going to help with your rankings on Google, and that's going to help drive more traffic to the website and obviously more prospects. So those are some sort of key opportunities there. So thanks for joining me again on the website teardown. We'll be back again in the next couple of weeks with the next episode. Don't forget to hit the like, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube, follow me personally. You can check out my LinkedIn in the description. Thanks guys. Bye for now.